So we got Jake Zweig on. Um, just as we kick this thing off, man, I'm gonna give a quick intro for those who don't know how we met. Connected years ago. I was in the process of training to go to the Navy, and I had this crazy idea on wanting to become a Navy SEAL. There was a guy who came to the Division II college that I went to. He was speaking about the lack of minorities in the SEALs, and me and two other guys, myself a wrestler, and those two guys were football players, decided it'd be a good idea. And we were courageous enough to try to embark on that journey. One ended up going to the Navy, one to the Army, and myself went to the corporate route. But during that time, somebody connected me with this guy named Jake Zweig and said, "Hey, this is the guy you need to talk to. African American Navy SEAL, graduated from the Naval Academy. Overall badass dude, and he's the guy who can, give you more insight and clarity on if this is something you want to do." And when I connected with him, I got that from really from the first conversation we had, man. So really excited to have this dude on. We're gonna peel back the layers, talk about his life, extraordinary story. And Jay, we'll kick it right off, man, and just talk about. I want to dive into how you grew up. I know you're a left coast, West Coast guy, man, and
That's right,
but just
baby.
talk a little bit. You know what I mean? Talk a little bit about how you grew up and really the things that shaped you in becoming the person that you ultimately ended up becoming and doing some of the marvelous things you've been able to do.
Yeah, Mike. Like it's crazy, man. Like you're one of my top dudes because you won an Natty, right? And that's hard to do. I don't care D2, D1. Like that's the whole thing. Give me a wrestler, I'll give you a Navy SEAL, Green Beret, Army Ranger. Really give you anything I want to give you. And that's the whole deal. Like I bugged you for a while, and you had a couple kids, and then you realized, shit, that savage life is a little bit hard to lead when you got a whole bunch of wonderful kids you raising and a great wife, and
Yeah,
so I had you on my radar, but you fell off the radar and shit. You've been doing good in
no doubt,
corporate.
man. Like
I try to get
life
you to cut.
happens.
I try to get you to cut your fucking hair and shit, but
Remember
you ain't
that?
want to cut your hair.
I
Now you in
remember that.
corporate America. You doing
No doubt.
well, so it's all good, brother. It's all good, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so Jay, can you tell us a little bit about really upbringing, kind of where you grew up at, the environment, and what that looked like in terms of one parent household. I know two. I know you had a father and eventually stepfather, but kind of what that household, what that dynamic looked like in terms of shaping your mental toughness, and were you always mentally tough, or did that come about over time? If you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I grew up the first 5.5 years with my grandparents. Short of like a 2 month stay with Larry Gurman out in Yelm, but the other times was at my grandparents' house. They were older, like probably when I was 6, they were in their mid 50s, and they were taking care of me. And it was just my grandfather was a businessman, and I grew up in a Jewish household, for the first 5 years, and it was really just super chill, Like I just remember being a kid, learn how to ride a bike, and then my mom started dating Bob out in Stillicum, and I went out there for first grade, and everything changed. Like I just, I wanted to hang out with him, but that dude was always working. So if you were gonna hang out with him, you worked, and
Gotcha.
as a little kid, I can remember like my quantity of work was really small. Chopping wood, I
Mm.
might I might get 2 or 3 pieces chopped in the first, the whole day. He done chopped 2 3 cords of wood, and so
Getting
but
to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then as it went on, man, like over the years, by 10 4 years later, I throw down work with the best of them, and you just
Wow.
it's that solo gradual grind that gets you into the game. Like you a wrestler.
Absolutely.
Like I
Yep.
was fired up to fight even in the 7th grade, but by then, I was 13 years old. I had been grinding on hard work, for 7 years, 6 years. So
Right.
I grew up in the country. I grew up in a little small town, Washington State, called Stillicum. I grew up 2 blocks from the water, but every one of my boys' dads was an E9. I had one of my guys was a battalion sergeant major. We had a regimental sergeant major in the group, And so we spent a lot
Right.
of time on the Army base, man. And, that's the home of 2nd Ranger Battalion. A team was cracking at that time. You couldn't tell me nothing. I would be
Yeah.
B.A. Baracus, go to A team, go to Green
Yeah.
Berets, do my thing. But, it didn't work out that way.
Well, so it's safe to say you knew pretty early that you wanted to go the military route or do something in that realm. You talking about the A team and growing up in that environment. It sounds like you knew pretty much early on, teenage years, that this was the route you wanted to go. Is that
Oh,
is that?
no, no. I'm talking about like 2nd grade, man.
Oh yeah! Wow!
Yeah,
Wow!
like I
Wow!
used to go to
That's,
school camoed up. Like,
yeah,
let's get
I
it.
see it now. I see it now.
Yeah, let's
My
get
man,
it. Like
podcast episode.
camouflage is my favorite color.
Absolutely, man.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
it changed a little bit. I wanted to go fly planes. Pretty much all of high school, I have flown. I took a little test flight when I was a kid, and I loved it. And I wanted to go fly planes. And then, I got in high school, and I was still wanting to fly planes big time, but I went to the Naval Academy, and that just ain't work out. Well, I ain't gonna say it didn't work out. I just didn't want to do it no more because I was like, I go
Right.
be a SEAL because that's the same thing as an Army Ranger, Green Beret. Like it's the same kind of job. So
Got you. Got you. So Jay, growing up, I know you played football and wrestle while you were at the Naval Academy. I think I want to say I read that you won a state title in high school in wrestling.
yeah,
But growing up, and I know a lot of guys who end up going that route were Boy Scouts at some point. Were you a Boy Scout when you were growing up?
yeah. I banged out Boy Scout. Well, let me say this: I banged out Weebelo, but you know how the Boy Scouts got to write that one page write up for every merit badge.
Yeah.
Your boy didn't learn to read until sophomore year at the college. So
What?
as soon as they put that one page writing requirement in there, I said deuces, I'm out. I'll
Yeah.
catch y'all later.
Yeah.
Even though I had every skill set to kill it, by the time I got to high school, like I go out and survive in the woods all like for a year if I had to. Like my
Yeah.
survival skills were pretty solid about 6th grade.
Wow.
But as soon as they asked for that one page write up, that was a wrap.
Got you. So Jake, we got to go back. I can't let you gloss over the you said you couldn't read until your second year of college. How were you able to make it through college successfully and then ultimately or really through high school and I would say elementary, junior high, how were you able to get by and get into the Naval Academy with that, you know what I'm saying, with that deficiency?
So here's the deal. I ain't like I don't have no brain problems, right? I just cheated the first 3 years of school. So first, second, and 3rd grade, I had the same teacher, and I was a really
Mm,
disruptive kid. But what I really learned, my last name is Zweig, so I had to sit in the back of class. When you sit in the back of class, it's hard to pay attention. Okay, and
no doubt.
so for those 3 years, my dad put me in a refrigerator box. So my desk was in a refrigerator box, kind of in the back of class. And so I sat in
Mm,
that refrigerator box all the class. I had a little window I could flip up. But for all the spelling tests, I would just flip it down and take my book out. Okay, there wasn't
mm,
no reason to study for a spelling test if you was sitting in a box and ain't no teacher never came back there and looked in the box, see what I was doing. So I did
no
good on all the
doubt.
spelling tests, but then the problem was like I couldn't read anything. Like I couldn't read C Spot Run. So
Wow.
my 3rd grade summer, one of our family friends named Bill Miller, I owe him the world, man. I spent 8 hours a day with him all summer. I didn't play one
Wow.
single day that summer. Like I spent every day with him, and 8 hours a day, man. We did these flashcards. I still had them some. I just cleaned out my mom's house, but I had a box of them. I wish I had kept them because, like, literally, man, we looked at flashcards 8 hours a day, and then that allowed me not to get held back in school. But see, I loved math and science, and so I started programming in 7th grade, and I won the University of Washington Science Fair 7th, 8th grade, got a full scholarship to University of Washington engineering. So I beat all the kids in the whole
Wow.
competition, all the high school kids. I beat everybody. And so when I started doing
Wow.
that stuff, only person that knew I couldn't read was the English teachers.
Mm,
And the math and science teachers was like, yo, this dude's in calculus. I took chemistry as a freshman. I remember I was in there with all the seniors, and I didn't ever study. Like I just all anything with math and science goes straight in my brain. And now I can
Gotcha.
read really well. I read like a superstar. I read a book in 3-4 hours if I have to, right? I
Wow.
just can't
Wow.
write real well. Like the English language is a struggle for me to use
Gotcha.
in the written form. Which at 49 I give two fucks at this point, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I think you've done enough. You've done enough. Not not being an all-star reader at this point in life. So now I got you, man, for sure. So
I
so
just
let's
hired
talk
some
about let's
cats.
talk
I
about the
hired some
Naval
cats. So
Academy.
I learned to read at the Naval Academy. I mean, I truly did. I had a teacher that tricked me, caught me in this trap. She set this awesome ass, big ass bear trap and caught the shit out of me. And then
Yeah,
I took this class over Christmas, learned how to read, man, and that's how I learned how to read.
got you. So you were let's go back. You were at the Naval Academy in what in the 90s, right?
Yeah, 90. I went to prep school in 90, got to Naval Academy in 91, and I graduated in 95.
Got you. So let's talk about just the experience at the Naval Academy. I'm sure it looks a little bit different now, but let's talk about that. Like, what did a day in the life of a Naval Academy student slash wrestler, football player look like, and being African American? Like, what was that experience like?
It sucks. Like everybody want to say, "Oh, it wasn't
Yeah.
it?" It sucks, man. Like I got 6 dudes there right now, right? And I had a kid that's gonna be graduating here in August, try to leave his sophomore year, and he told me, he said, "Man, Jake, it's just not right." I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Man, it sucks really bad." And so he wanted to go to Colorado, and I just said, "Hey, bud." So there's only one way you're going to Colorado, and he was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" Say if you're in a fucking coffin, that's the only way you're going to Colorado. Cause I told you it
That's
sucked
the
in the
only
very
option, my
beginning,
man.
huh?
That's the only option.
That's
Yeah,
the only
that's
option. Like
facts.
you
Yeah,
ain't leaving. It sucks,
right.
man. Like it sucks for 4 years. And I was kind of
Yeah,
an anomaly. Like I didn't buy books at the Naval Academy. I never studied. I sat in the front of
yeah.
class every day. I took a lot of notes, and then I slept 12 hours a day. Like my whole goal was to sleep 12 hours a day so that I was only at the Naval Academy for 2 years instead of 4. So
Got you.
I pretty much did that. Like I worked out, I swam a little bit at nights and lifted a little extra. And then I was in bed by
Yeah,
7 o'clock every night. I got up at 6 the next morning most of the time. I'd go for my morning 3 miler, and then I would start my day, catch a couple naps in the middle. If when I was wrestling before school, lunch, and after school for practice because I was behind. I didn't wrestle my freshman or sophomore year, so I was behind, and I had to make that up.
right. So tell me this, Jake. So life as a college athlete, as we know, is extremely busy. Life is just as a regular college student can be busy depending on your workload, your course load. But when you add in sports and then you add in just the demands and the rigors of being at a military institution, it's magnified even more. You ended up pledging in crossing when you were in college, also, right? You become a
No, no,
member of Omega Psi Phi at the Naval Academy.
I crossed grad chapter in '98. Like I deaned up the first 2
Gotcha.
lines at the Naval
Gotcha.
Academy. So
Gotcha. Okay.
there was gonna be a line in '92. There had been a line in '81. 80 and 81 there had been lines, but Naval Academy ain't trying to have all that noise. Now we kind of flying
Awesome.
under the radar. We getting ready to have our 20 years here on 2023. So
Um,
I just say this, like being an athlete, like I was just at Illinois for the last 4 years. If I had went to University of Illinois on a football scholarship, not a wrestling scholarship, but I went on a football scholarship, I would have graduated in 2 years.
wow.
It's 120 credit hours. Like I never would have went home. I would have just took 15 credit hours every semester. Do the math. Like
Knocked it
that's
out.
90 credit hours in 2 years. But I would have showed up
Yeah.
early that summer and took 15. Like I'd be done in literally in 2 years in a semester. And then I would go get my
Wow.
master's degree, right? Like
Um,
I mean, my dudes, they got so much time on their hands. Like when I was at the Naval Academy, I didn't had no time, man. Like
right. I
you
bet.
wasting 5 hours a day in military shit. 5 hours,
Yeah.
like. But I didn't study, so it really wasn't that big a deal to me. I just went to bed. I play a
Yeah.
little Joe Montana football on my computer and then go to sleep at like 7:30.
The good times, good times. So you graduated from the Naval Academy with a degree in computer science, and then after that, like, what was the motivation? You know, going from computer science, Naval Academy. What was the motivation to go and eventually get your MBA from University of Michigan's Raw School of Business? Like, what was the thought process and then the desire?
Man, like you want to know the total thought process? It blows people away. My sophomore year at the Naval
Yeah,
Academy, this brother came in and gave a talk to the black student body, right? All 100 of us, okay? And I remember, man, I was sitting like about 2 rows back. And I was watching this dude came in, had this olive drab suit on with a clean shirt and a tie, and he had these cordovan shoes on. I said, "Damn, that dude looks sharp, right?" And then he started
yeah,
talking. He started talking about it. He was making $1 million a year. This was 1992. He had just got done. He had got done with Wharton Business School 3 years before that. He was making $1 million a year. And so,
wow,
like, I knew I was gonna go get my MBA right then. I said, "Oh, what's an MBA?" I didn't know. Like, you come out of Washington State. You got a truck driver for a dad. Your mom is a government clerk. You don't. Ain't nobody talking to you about education. My dad was like, "You got to go to college," but no one talked to me about like what I
yeah,
should do. MBA. I didn't know what an MBA was. I didn't know what the Ivy League schools were. So my girl from Washington
yeah,
State went to Penn. We played Penn and JV, and I got to stay up there for an extra day and hang out with her. I said, "What is this school,
yep,
Penn?" She said, "It's Ivy League,
yeah,
Jake." What the fuck is that? What do you mean an Ivy League school? Well, there's 8 really prestigious schools, and they're called the Ivies. Really?
8 Ivies, yep,
What are they?
yep,
Right? I knew Harvard and Yale. I didn't know Brown. I didn't know Dartmouth.
yeah,
I didn't know
Dartmouth,
Princeton. Right?
yep,
I didn't know none of those. I was just like, "Oh, okay, cool." Right? Like, and so it's just one of those things where a dude put a little seed in my head and it grew. And I ended up in Michigan after my military career. You know,
yeah,
so it's just how it works, man. Like I tell
yep,
when I think the biggest problem in the socioeconomic disadvantaged community is the fact that like we just don't know how. We don't know the how, man. Like I
mm-hmm.
could have been anything I wanted to. Like if I had went to normal school, there's a good chance I'd have been an aerospace engineer. Okay, like
Yeah,
that's what I really wanted to do was aerospace engineer. Okay,
yeah,
but at the Naval Academy, like you can't be an engineer and do a sport, like unless you some kind of fucking genius, right? Because like,
yeah, yeah.
dude, my roommate was taking 25 credit hours for 4 semesters in a row, man. Four
That's
semesters,
bananas, man. That's bananas.
25 credit. Do the math on 25 credit hours, and not 25 credit hours. Like I did 27 credit hours in business school, so I graduated early. I had an independent study for 6 hours to write a business case on Southwest, and I had an independent study for ceramics for 6 hours. That was
Mm.
12 hours of the 27. So now I'm down to 19 hours or 17 hours, 16 hours. What's the math?
Yeah,
27, 15 hours. I'm down to 15 hours. So I had a normal semester. But like, I'm going to strategically do it so I can do it. My roommate had 15 hours, like fluids, statics,
yeah,
materials, like all that. I'm like, yo, like he didn't sleep, man. That dude worked 7 days a week, got about 4 hours of sleep for the last 2 semesters we were in school. It wasn't worth it to me to do that.
yeah. No doubt, no doubt. So just out of curiosity, is he somebody you still maintain contact with today? Do you know what he's doing today?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I lived with him for 4 years, so
Gotcha.
after he got over the fact that he was upset with me, there was like a 7 year period where we didn't really talk because he was
Mm.
upset that I got the same degree that he got, basically. And
Yeah,
like I had it out with him, just peace, right? Because I'm like, look, dude, he had his last 4 semesters, he had a 4.0 with 25 credit hours.
that's crazy.
I said, you
That's
got a
crazy.
systems engineering degree. I got a computer science degree. He's like, yeah,
Yeah,
but you still were an ensign in the Navy, man. We got the same place. And you went to bed at 7 o'clock all 4 years.
it's crazy, man.
I said, you got a better degree. You got a great GPA. Like, don't look at it
Yep.
that way. So he was
Right,
upset with
right.
me for a while, but, I spent a couple of Thanksgivings down at his house already. My other roommate is in Maryland, and so he's in Pax River. So we hang out. I talked to him not too long ago when we were all together.
Love it,
I mean,
man.
he lived with me
Love
for
it.
4 years. So if he lived with me for 4 years, he ain't going nowhere. And then
No, no doubt.
my other
It's a different
roommate's one of my
relationship.
best friends. So
Okay, okay. So I'm as you were talking, I heard you mention the ceramics thing, and I know that was a I don't want to call it a hobby, but that was something that you did. Did that start in childhood? Did that start in high
I
school?
started throwing pottery in 7th grade or 7 years old when I bought a pottery wheel at a garage sale. Now
Wow.
I didn't realize it was supposed to have this big counterweight at the bottom of it. So
Mm,
like I used to wear myself out making a pot because it didn't have a counterweight. So it has this big cement thing at the bottom, and you kick it, you get it going, and then you throw right, and the counterweight keeps the wheel going. I didn't have that cement thing at the bottom, so I just kicked it. Like I just got wore out kicking. I was throwing pots. I was
right.
actually in a pottery store today, man. I'm just happy that they didn't have no plaster of Paris because I would have bought all sorts of stuff. I've got to make some bowls. So I'm gonna make some new kitchen.
So Jake, like, so you brought it in seventh grade, but who
I
taught you
bought
how
it
to
at
do that?
seven
That's not
years
just
old.
something. Oh, 7 years old. I thought you said seventh grade.
No, seven
Okay.
years old. It was. I want to say I paid like $15 for it at a garage sale.
But who taught you how to do it? Like, who taught you? You can buy something,
Man,
but who taught
just
you
just trial
like
and
next
error, brother.
steps?
Trial and error early on.
Got you. Got you.
But then I went in high
Got
school. I transferred to the number 2 high school in the country at the time, Charles Wright Academy
you. Wow.
in Tacoma, Washington. And then I got Miles Struckness, who's a world renowned potter, like
Wow.
world renowned. And so that dude helped me out. And since no one would talk to me at school for the first year, I just threw pottery 5 hours a day. I got to school at 7. I'll throw pottery until noon. I go to calculus class, lift my weights at lunch, and then I'll be on to practice.
Right, right. Yeah, that's definitely different, man. We don't I don't hear a lot of African Americans, period, especially men, take up pottery or have an interest in pottery and ceramics, man. So that's definitely different, man. So
So I'm
Jake,
gonna
so
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. On the West Coast, it ain't even nothing.
really,
Like we got artists up and down the West Coast of all
got
colors.
you, got
Okay,
you.
like shit, pottery, ceramics came out of Japan mainly, right? Like they've been in every culture all over the world, but like Miles was always talking about his master in Japan. But on the
Mm,
West Coast, every high school got pottery studio in it for the most part. Like it's
yeah,
different. It's different
okay.
than the East Coast and the South.
I got you. Okay, that makes sense then. Yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely makes sense then. Yeah. So let's talk about it. So you graduate from the Naval Academy. Um, and what did it look like? What was that process in terms of becoming a SEAL? I know it's a 2 year process, but what was your process going into
So so I
Camp
was
Buzz?
I was in a lot of BS trouble at the Naval Academy because I'm not gonna like conform. I'm not a conformist. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Okay. And
No
and
doubt.
so there was a lot of people that didn't like me because I had great grades. Okay.
Mhm.
So I have a 3.0 and they know I'm sleeping all night. And
Mhm.
so they would always find these little ticky tack things to get me on. Or I would get myself on something stupid like we on spring break and this foreign national asking for the orange juice in some crazy ass language. And I was like, hey man, what do you want? Can you please speak in English? He was like,
Yeah.
pass the orange juice. You're being disrespectful. I said, I apologize. I said, but I'd like you to speak in English. I don't know the language you speaking to me
Mhm.
in. 90 days restriction, disrespect to an upper class. I was a sophomore, he was a junior.
Wow. Wow.
Okay. There's like 15 people staying on campus for spring break, and I managed to get 90 days restriction out the deal.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
sick.
didn't get a billet out of the Naval Academy.
Mhm.
So I picked the worst ship in the Navy. I changed my vacation. I gave up my vacation. He had to go to ship driver school. I went to ship driver school, studied my butt off. I worked out 7 hours a day. I took the PT test in August because it's good for a year.
Yeah.
And then I went to my ship in October and I got qualified in 4 months, basically a qualification that takes 18 to 24 months to do. There was two people on my ship that had been on my ship like 18 months that didn't have their qualification, and I got my qualification before them. But I didn't have no life. I just worked. I worked 18, 20-hour days. every day of
Yeah.
the week. My day off was Sunday. That meant I got to sleep. I didn't come into work until 12 on Sunday, but I still worked from 12 to midnight on Sunday to get my 12 hours in of doing what I had to do to get qualified. And
Gotcha.
so I got my SWO pin. You have to get qualified in your current job, which was driving ships. It's called SWO, Surface Warfare Officer. I banged that out, and then no one thought I was going to get picked up, but as always, I already was in the back door. So my superstar, overlooker Margaret, who ran the SEAL community, she told me, man, as soon as your package hit my desk, I'm picking you up. And so
Mm.
my package hit her desk in June of that year. I got picked up, and then I had to wait.
So, so
I had to wait another 18 months to actually go to training.
got you.